Chapter 1. Divine Talent. In the 18th year of the New Era calendar, in Long Country, on the outskirts of Yongning City in the Novice area. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, it's you. Wei Kai pointed with his left hand at a small white rabbit whose eyes glowed red, while he slowly raised his worn-out longsword with his right hand. The small white rabbit was the weakest creature in the Novice area. Its only attack method was biting, but you could dodge it with a slight move. For beginners, the small white rabbit was the perfect practice target. It allowed players to get used to their skills and combat methods, practice movement and dodging, and most importantly, it was almost infinite in number. Just step outside, and you could find them everywhere, and they never initiated attacks. Creatures like this were ideal for beginners like Wei Kai, who had just switched his profession. Speaking of switching professions, Wei Kai couldn't help but laugh and cry. A month ago, he transmigrated into this world, changing from a college freshman about to start his studies to a high school senior about to graduate. Aside from his age and appearance, everything else had changed. The most significant change was this world itself. 18 years ago, a game descended upon Blue Star and merged with reality, ushering in the era of universal job changes, causing the entire world to undergo drastic transformations. Apart from big cities with populations over 1 million, the wild and suburban areas had been completely taken over by beasts, monsters, and ghosts. Humans were forced to cluster in big cities, struggling to survive in fear. However, there is always a way out. While alien beasts ran rampant, humanity also entered an era of universal job changing, where various jobs from games became a reality. Countless people joined in, changing professions to become warriors, mages, assassins, archers, and more, joining the battle against the beasts in the wild. Over the past 18 years, through the exploration of countless pioneers, a systematic understanding of job changes gradually formed. All professions were essentially divided into 3 categories: combat, support, and life. Professions capable of dealing damage and having combat skills, such as warriors, mages, and assassins, were considered combat professions. Support classes were simpler; any profession with buff skills was considered support. Lastly, there were life professions, which essentially had no combat power and could not provide support during battles. Their primary role was to supply logistics for combat and support professions, such as food, alchemical tools, equipment, and machinery. Although life professions couldn't go to the battlefield, their importance was no less than the other 2 categories. The war god of Long Country, Li Changyuan, once said, "There are no trash professions, only trash job changers." Just half an hour ago, the homeroom teacher, Old Zheng, used this phrase to comfort his students. At the graduation job change ceremony half an hour ago, Class 1514's performance was poor. Out of 50 students, only 3 successfully changed to combat professions, 7 to support professions, and the remaining 40, all life professions. Wei Kai was one of the 3 who became a warrior. The warrior profession had numerous branches and immense potential for those with talent or money. Once developed, it ranked among the top 3 of all professions. It combined high defense with damage output, capable of crushing everything and dominating the battlefield. However, for those without money or natural talent, the warrior was just an average, unimpressive profession. Oh, by the way, everyone receives a talent after switching professions. In most cases, the first talent is related to their profession, such as warriors gaining strength-type talents and mages getting magic-type talents. Wei Kai also received his talent, but it was rather peculiar. It had nothing to do with any profession; he had never even heard of such a talent. It was called All Item Drop. Name: Wei Kai. Profession: Warrior. Level: 1. Strength: 5. Agility: 4. Magic: 1. Spirit: 3. Constitution: 6. Skills: Rising / Downward / Talent: All Item Drop. Any unit you kill will drop all possible items. The description of this talent was simple and straightforward, but even after reading it, Wei Kai was still a bit confused. All Item Drop. Does it mean that if I kill a monster, all the items that can drop from it will appear at once? The era of universal job changes had been ongoing for 18 years, and there were detailed lists of drops for most monsters. Most monsters dropped several types of items upon death. Even the small white rabbit in front of him would drop several pieces of rabbit meat, rabbit legs, and the like. Powerful area bosses or even mythical beasts could have over 1,000 drops. If all of them could drop at once, wouldn't this be a divine-level talent? Thinking of this, Wei Kai took 3 deep breaths to calm himself down. This was his first fight after switching professions, not only to adapt to his warrior skills but also to test his newly acquired talent. Could it really provide all item drops? Rising slash. Wei Kai raised his sword with both hands, executing a crescent slash. The worn-out longsword swiftly passed by the small white rabbit's leg. Missed. The first move resulted in a miss, making Wei Kai roll his eyes. Although he had prepared for this, it was still frustrating when it actually happened. While the small white rabbit was weak with little attack power, it excelled in speed and dodging. A newly switched professional needed at least 10 minutes of practice to deal effective damage to it. Missing the first strike was common. Close combat professions had it relatively easy, but most novice mages and archers would cry out in frustration the first time they faced a small white rabbit. Downward slash. Basic attack. Basic attack. Rising slash. -1. Wei Kai didn't give up. He continued attacking in succession, but every move missed, and he even got bitten by the rabbit once. That's right, the -1 was caused by the small white rabbit's bite. During his continuous attacks, he became anxious and failed to dodge, resulting in a bite from the small white rabbit. After all this effort, he hadn't even scratched the rabbit, but he got bitten instead. Wei Kai was about to cry at his own stupidity. Fortunately, the small white rabbit's damage was minimal, with each bite dealing only 1 point of damage. For a warrior with a total of 210 HP, it was just a drizzle. Come on, let's go again. Although his performance was poor just now, Wei Kai didn't give up. He knew that every combat professional started out this way. What newbie hasn't been bullied to tears by a small white rabbit? Even the famous war god of Long Country was teased by a rabbit during his novice days and nearly got counter-killed. However, what he encountered was the Rabbit King. Chapter 2. Even beginner monsters can drop big. Upward slash. Basic attack. Basic attack. Downward slash. -5. Hit. After nearly 3 minutes of adaptation, Wei Kai finally landed a solid hit on the little white rabbit, dealing -5 damage. For a level 1 rabbit, this is massive damage, taking more than half of its health. The rabbit's health dropped instantly by 2/3, and it was on the verge of being killed. Wei Kai seized the moment and delivered another basic attack. This time, the rabbit couldn't dodge and was hit again, showing -2 inches on its head. Then it let out a cry and fell to the ground. Boom! The next moment, the rabbit's corpse vanished, replaced by several beams of light emerging from where it had fallen. It dropped. Seeing this, Wei Kai's eyes widened, and his breathing quickened. For beginner monsters, the drops are usually very stingy. Most of the time, killing one yields only a bit of experience and a copper coin. Only with extreme luck might it drop a piece of rabbit meat or a rabbit leg. However, the drops in front of him were far beyond these. Rabbit meat. Meat dropped by the little white rabbit, can be used as a cooking ingredient. Rabbit leg. Leg dropped by the little white rabbit, can be used as a cooking ingredient. Rabbit head. Head dropped by the little white rabbit, can be used as a cooking ingredient. Wei Kai glanced over and saw 3 types of ingredients. This meant the entire rabbit's meat had been dropped. Even more astonishing, there was also a recipe. Spicy rabbit meat recipe. Learn to cook spicy rabbit meat. The specific dish will vary depending on the ingredients used. Spicy rabbit meat. A valuable dish that randomly increases 1 attribute point, can be eaten once per day. The importance of attribute points is obvious. Even if it's random and can only be increased by 1 point daily, over time, it's a significant boost. In addition, there was an old dagger and a type of herb. Bloodstanch grass, a common herb that restores 20 health points when used. Finally, there was a strange whiteboard item. Magic herb fragment. With only these 4 words and no additional explanation, Wei Kai glanced at it and moved on, too excited to care. This is real. The description about the talent is true. All items drop. Anything that can drop, drops. Wei Kai's excitement was barely containable, his fists clenched as if he was holding the entire world. Others might only get a piece of rabbit meat from killing a rabbit, but he got 3 types of ingredients and a valuable recipe. This recipe is essential for a culinary professional. Without a recipe, a chef can only make ordinary food. Only with a recipe can they create dishes that increase attributes or have special buffs. This recipe alone could be worth 100,000 gold coins in the marketplace. 100,000 gold coins is enough to support a typical 3-person family comfortably for 5 years. Even more absurd, this rabbit dropped herbs as well. These herbs are rare and hard to collect in the wild, which is dominated by powerful beasts. Bloodstanch grass, while the most common herb, can still be sold for about $100. As for the last item, magic herb fragment, Wei Kai speculated that combining these fragments might create a magic herb. However, he needed to figure out how many fragments were required. Fortunately, I have the talent. Wei Kai's lips curled into a slight, mischievous smile. At this moment, a curse and several complaints came from not far away. Wei Kai turned and saw a tall, burly middle-aged man. Based on his gear, he seemed to be a warrior. "What are you staring at?" The man, noticing Wei Kai's gaze, glared angrily. "With that miserable look, you're probably just a rookie who can't even handle rabbits, right?" Wei Kai shrugged off the insult with a calm smile. He had just dropped a pile of items effortlessly, while the man hadn't seen any drops after killing 50 rabbits. Clearly, they were not on the same level. There was no need to get upset about such a disparity. However, with this guy around, Wei Kai couldn't stay here. Drops from killing monsters are visible to everyone, and he didn't want to reveal his talent or attract trouble. Until he was fully developed, it was best to stay low-key. 10 minutes later, he found a deserted spot and started killing rabbits again. With the experience from the first monster, the subsequent battles went much smoother. Weak little rabbits didn't last more than 3 moves under his hand, and with the downward slash skill, he could even kill them in 1 hit. Gradually, after killing the 20th rabbit, his body finally flashed with golden light. Level up. Wei Kai exhaled deeply. For a newly promoted rookie, completing this task in half an hour to an hour is considered acceptable. Wei Kai took 49 minutes, minus the 10 minutes spent finding a new leveling spot, meaning the actual time spent was 39 minutes, which was acceptable. But if Wei Kai's combat ability was merely adequate, then his drop rate was simply out of this world. Chapter 3, No Luck at All. 20 rabbit legs, 20 pieces of rabbit meat, 20 rabbit heads, 20 hemostatic herbs, 2 recipe books, and 20 pieces of potion fragments. Aside from the recipe books, which are indeed rare and don't drop from every rabbit, every other item dropped 20 times each. With this drop rate, anyone who saw it would think he had used cheats. Although his name is Wei Kai, he truly didn't cheat. His beginner's backpack, which had only 100 slots, was completely full and couldn't hold any more. The most valuable recipe books, of course, had to be kept in his backpack. The 20 potion fragments also seemed special, so keeping them in the backpack was the best choice. After some thought, Wei Kai decided to take out 2 pieces of rabbit meat and carry them in his hand. Although the drop rate for this was extremely low, getting some would make others think he was incredibly lucky. It's time to head back. Wei Kai weighed the rabbit meat in his hand. All things considered, this trip was quite worth it. Not only did he level up to level 2, but he also gained a solid understanding of the warrior's skills and attack methods. Most importantly, the items he had obtained. Just the 2 recipe books could be sold for 200,000 gold coins. With this money, he could buy a good set of equipment for himself. A warrior with equipment is vastly different from one without. Only a warrior with top-notch equipment can deal both damage and take hits. A warrior without good equipment is merely a meat shield responsible for taking damage. They can only stack the thickest armor and endure the hardest hits. For example, when he was killing rabbits earlier, if he had money, he could have bought a fine longsword. With that, even at level 1, he could have achieved 1-hit kills, instead of using a shabby longsword and taking 2 hits to kill a rabbit. Although the difference between 1-hit kills and 2-hit kills seems small, it's a world of difference in leveling efficiency. Moreover, those with money can wear good equipment and challenge tougher monsters. They start farming level 5 monsters and don't need to kill rabbits at level 1. But starting today, everything will be different. Wei Kai's gaze was firm as he clenched his fist tightly. With this, full item drop, talent, he could have as much top-tier equipment and rare materials as he wanted in the future. As long as he kept grinding monsters, one day, he would reach the pinnacle of the world. Whistle, whistle, whistle. On his way back, Wei Kai whistled leisurely. As he walked, he returned to the place where he had killed the first white rabbit. To his surprise, he found that the man who had been hunting rabbits was still there. The man was still cursing. "Stupid rabbit, can't you drop a piece of meat for me? I've been killing for half the day. I should have at least gotten 300 of them, right? Not even a single rabbit hair, how is this reasonable? Who the hell designed this game? Monsters don't even leave a corpse after dying, afraid that someone will pick it up. Otherwise, I could just pick one up and go back to report, sigh. Drop, damn it, just drop. Damn it." Hearing this, Wei Kai quickly switched hands, moving the rabbit meat to the other side to avoid being seen by the man. However, his action was still noticed, the man had seen it clearly. "You rookie, you actually got rabbit meat." The middle-aged man looked astonished, not expecting this newbie to be so lucky. In just over half an hour, he had managed to get rabbit meat, and 2 pieces at that. "Just lucky," Wei Kai quickly explained. "How about selling it to me?" The man suddenly dropped his displeasure and said seriously, "I really need some rabbit meat. I can buy it from you with gold coins." Okay. Wei Kai hesitated for a moment but agreed. His backpack was already full of rabbit meat and couldn't fit any more. As long as he got paid, selling 2 pieces to this man wasn't a big deal. "Since you're a newbie, I won't take advantage of you." The middle-aged man was taken aback for a moment, then said straightforwardly, "I'll buy your rabbit meat at twice the market price, 10 gold coins per piece. You have 2 pieces, so I'll give you 20 gold coins." Okay. Wei Kai didn't expect the man to be so straightforward and even give an extra 10 gold coins. This transaction was quite a bargain. After a short while, the deal was completed. Wei Kai's backpack now had an extra 20 gold coins. This was a substantial amount of money. Enough to buy several pieces of beginner's equipment. Normally, no one would offer such a high price for a few pieces of rabbit meat. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but wonder, why did this irritable man specifically come here to hunt rabbit meat? After hunting for so long without success, why was he so generous in buying from him? Considering that in the market, you could buy better meat for this price. "Sir, kid," he was about to ask when the man also started to speak, causing their words to collide. The man was first stunned, then smiled generously. "Kid, I'm sorry for my bad temper earlier." It's okay, I didn't mind." Seeing this, Wei Kai quickly waved his hand and took the opportunity to ask, "Sir, you're so high level, why are you still hunting rabbit meat?" He couldn't see the man's level, but judging by his skill, he was at least level 20 or above. For such a high-level class holder to be in a beginner's area killing beginner monsters, it seemed like using a cannon to kill mosquitoes. "Well, actually, it's to make a dish for my daughter." The man smiled slightly, with a look of happiness. "My daughter loves spicy rabbit meat. When I first changed jobs, I got rabbit meat from just 3 rabbits, and I made a delicious spicy rabbit meat dish at home that night. Since then, she's loved it. It's just a pity that after more than 10 years, I still haven't gotten the recipe for spicy rabbit meat. The drop rate is ridiculously low. I don't know who designed it." As he spoke, the man couldn't help but complain again. Hearing this, Wei Kai couldn't help but laugh inwardly. A recipe for spicy rabbit meat. I got 2 copies in half an hour. Oh, by the way. The irritable man suddenly remembered something and looked at Wei Kai. "My daughter is about your age. She also participated in the job transfer ceremony today. I wanted her to be able to have a nice meal when she gets back." Wei Kai was startled and asked reflexively, could she be a classmate? "What school are you from?" "Shixiang number 2 middle school. Class 1514. The man was taken aback for a moment, then shook his head. "No, my daughter is in class 1501, and her grades are quite good." Chapter 4, Grandpa is Rich Now. After the era of universal job changes began, the wilderness was overrun by beasts, and the surviving humans fled into the big cities. As a result, Yongning City became a metropolis with a population of 10 million. Yongning City has a total of 30 high schools, and the school where Wei Kai studies, Xixiang No. 2 High School, is ranked in the middle. This year, Xixiang No. 2 has 15 classes, with students assigned based on their grades. The best students are placed in classes 1 and 2, the fairly good ones in classes 3 and 4, and those with the lowest grades end up in classes 14 and 15. Uncle's daughter is in class 1501, meaning her grades are among the top in this year's cohort. When Uncle mentioned that his daughter's grades were quite good, he was probably being modest. Wei Kai suddenly thought of Li Qingxia, the universally acknowledged top student and school belle of Xixiang No. 2, who had transitioned to the flame mage job. Could Uncle's daughter be her? Uncle. What's your surname? Just Li. You can call me Uncle Li. Uncle smiled warmly. Wei Kai was momentarily stunned, feeling a bit awkward. Could it be such a coincidence? Well, I got the rabbit meat, so I need to get back to cook. Uncle smiled and waved his hand. From the looks of it, you should be familiar with warrior skills and combat methods. Go buy some good equipment and prepare to hunt level 3 wild boars. The rabbits here are simple, but they give very little experience and copper coins. After level 3, they give nothing. Instead of wasting time here, it's better to get used to the combat intensity of the wild boars in advance. Also, before heading to the wild boar forest, it's best to prepare a set of beginner equipment. Thanks for the advice, Uncle. Wei Kai quickly nodded and thanked him. Although his teacher had mentioned similar things, he appreciated the additional advice and wouldn't hesitate to show his gratitude. Don't mention it. I'm leaving now. Uncle waved and left. After Uncle departed, Wei Kai returned to the city. Instead of going straight home, he headed to Xixiang Grand Market near the school. This is the largest market in Xixiang district, where you can find almost anything you want. Every day, hundreds of thousands of people trade and manufacture goods here, sustaining many livelihoods. As soon as Wei Kai entered the market, he was overwhelmed by the massive noise. He had been here before but had never seen such a bustling scene. Could there be a new event or something? He looked around but didn't notice anything unusual, so he decided to ignore it. After walking a bit further, Wei Kai arrived at a trading hall. This was an official trading hall where everything was available, and the prices were fair, ensuring no cheating. It was ideal for a novice like him who knew nothing. Next door were private trading halls and auction houses that often had rare items, but their prices were exorbitant, making them inaccessible to those without a lot of money. These private trading halls were notoriously unscrupulous, aggressively lowering prices when buying items and inflating prices when selling. A novice who didn't know better would likely be fleeced. Once inside the trading hall, someone quickly noticed him. A mature lady in a professional dress and black stockings approached him with a smile. Are you here to buy beginner equipment? Come this way, we have what you need. No, I'm here to sell something. Wei Kai emphasized the word, sell. Oh. Do you have something valuable? The lady raised an eyebrow, looking at him with interest. 2 recipe books, Wei Kai said directly. While recipes were good items, they weren't extraordinary, and the staff there must have seen many. Hearing this, the lady immediately smiled. Indeed, good items. But I'm not very familiar with recipes. Please wait a moment while I get Uncle Liang to give you an appraisal. She then turned and left, swaying her hips. Moments later, an elderly man with gray hair followed her and approached Wei Kai. You're here to sell recipes? Yes. Wei Kai nodded and took out the 2 recipe books from his bag, handing them to him. As this was an official trading hall, there was no need to worry about being cheated. Uncle Liang took the recipes and was momentarily surprised. Spicy rabbit meat. Such a recipe was rare. Although it dropped from the lowest level beginner monster, the little white rabbit, most players stopped hunting them after reaching level 2. Only newly transitioned players would hunt them, and they usually only collected enough to reach level 2 before moving on. Therefore, the drop rate was extremely low. Yongning City might not even have 2 copies. He didn't expect this kid to have 2 at once. Uncle Liang quickly looked up and examined Wei Kai closely. Did you obtain these? He asked curiously. No, they're family heirlooms. Wei Kai quickly shook his head. While he trusted the official channels, he wouldn't easily trust individuals in official institutions. Both are family heirlooms. Uncle Liang was slightly surprised. Yes. Wei Kai nodded and fabricated a story. When the game first arrived, I had just been born, and my grandfather bought 2 of these, saying they were for my future use. But now I'm a warrior, recipes are for crafting professions, and combat professions wouldn't waste skill points on them. His grandfather bought the recipes as a form of insurance in case he switched to a crafting profession in the future. It was a way to prepare for an alternative path. But now, he clearly had no use for them. Hearing this story, Uncle Liang nodded slightly and asked, "Are you selling the recipes to buy beginner equipment?" "Yes." Wei Kai nodded repeatedly. "Well, then that's fine." Uncle Liang thought for a moment and said with a smile, "The spicy rabbit meat recipe is very rare, practically priceless. I'll buy it at double the market price. Xiao Ling, prepare a card with 400,000 gold coins." "Understood." Xiao Ling, the mature lady, gave Wei Kai an envious look and then swayed away. Moments later, Wei Kai received a brand new bank card from her and felt a surge of excitement. He was finally rich. Grandpa was rich now. Chapter 5, The Joy of Spending. Wei Kai's family was not well off. After the game descended into the real world, wild areas were overrun by exotic beasts, and the surviving humans crowded into big cities. Tall city walls and magical arrays were built around these cities to protect the civilians. However, land within the city walls was ultimately limited. With all the factories, farmland, rivers, and roads squeezed into the cities, space was scarce. To address this, the authorities began constructing underground cities starting from the 2nd year of the new era. In the 3rd year of the new era, when Wei Kai was 3 years old, his family moved to underground level 13. Since then, most of his life was spent underground, only returning to the surface during junior high and high school to enjoy rare sunshine and fresh air. Now that he has graduated from high school, he is expected to return underground soon and become an ordinary, inconspicuous soldier. But everything changed because of one special talent. "Student, please confirm." At this moment, a gentle voice broke Wei Kai's reverie. He looked up to see a mature woman smiling at him. "Yes, okay." He nodded. Although the official trading hall is known for its honesty and reliability, it's still necessary to confirm the transaction and ensure everything is settled before completion. Wei Kai pulled out his phone and scanned the QR code on the bank card. In the next moment, all the information about the card appeared on his phone screen. Although he already knew the card's balance, the glaring number still made his heart race. 400,000 gold coins, enough to buy a 50 square meter apartment on the surface. This would allow him to bring his parents back to the surface and live in the sunlight again. This was the life he had always dreamed of and his lifelong goal. But now, Wei Kai would not choose to do so. "I want to buy equipment," he said firmly, holding up the bank card. "Spend it all." "What?" The female sales clerk was momentarily stunned. Uncle Liang, who was about to leave, also stopped and looked at him in surprise. "Young man, are you sure? This is not a small amount," Uncle Liang kindly reminded him. "Yes, I'm sure," Wei Kai nodded. "Are you still a student?" Uncle Liang asked again. Wei Kai shook his head. "No, I graduated today. I have the right to make my own decisions, and these 2 recipe books were given to me by my dad." His meaning was clear. Since the recipe books were given by his parents, he naturally had the right to use the money as he saw fit. Hearing this, Uncle Liang gave a wry smile and then waved to the sales clerk. "Xiao Ling, take him to the VIP counter." "Oh, okay." Xiao Ling nodded repeatedly and gestured for Wei Kai to follow her. The VIP counter was the best in the trading hall, with all equipment starting at legendary grade, and even epic equipment available. Each piece of equipment was priced extraordinarily high, at least over 100,000 gold coins. Since Wei Kai wanted to spend 400,000 gold coins, he naturally aimed to buy the best. After a while, they arrived at the VIP counter. With the clerk's recommendation, Wei Kai purchased a set of legendary grade equipment suitable for beginners, spending a total of 350,000 gold coins. He also bought several super large capacity backpacks, each with 3,000 slots, spending another 50,000 gold coins. In less than 10 minutes, the 400,000 gold coins on his card were spent completely. Looking at the now empty bank card, Wei Kai couldn't help but sigh. "So, are you having regrets?" the mature woman asked gently. "No," Wei Kai shook his head. "I just think, spending money feels so good. Quote ellipsis ellipsis quote. Xiao Ling was stunned. Spending money did indeed feel great. For Wei Kai, the 400,000 gold coins were just the result of the 2 recipe books, which he obtained as drops while farming small white rabbits with no cost involved. With the full item drop talent, he could obtain many valuable items from any monster he farmed. Earning another 400,000 gold coins was not difficult at all. Moreover, the equipment he bought was for better farming, essentially an investment in himself. Investing in oneself is always worthwhile. Enhancing combat power to farm more monsters and obtain more treasures, this was the path he intended to take. By the way, can I call you Sister Ling? Wei Kai asked with a slight smile. Of course, Xiao Ling nodded with a smile. Sister Ling, may I ask which monsters dropped the equipment I'm wearing? Huh. Xiao Ling was momentarily stunned and then asked with a smile, oh, are you planning to farm them yourself? If I can farm a set, would you buy it? Wei Kai countered. Of course we would buy it. Xiao Ling nodded firmly and added, how many you have, we'll buy all. Really? Wei Kai was pleasantly surprised, feeling like he had found a big spender. How many you have, we'll buy all. I could sell until you go bankrupt. Of course, he wouldn't actually do that. Selling large quantities of top-tier equipment would easily expose him. If his talent were accidentally revealed, it could lead to unnecessary trouble. Wei Kai wasn't that foolish. Really, Xiao Ling smiled and said. Since you spent 400,000 gold coins on equipment, you're already one of our valued customers. So, we'll give you a free copy of the drop guide. Oh, then thank you very much. Wei Kai was concerned about where to farm next. With this guide, he only needed to choose the monsters that dropped the best items and farm them diligently. After leaving the trading hall, Wei Kai found a rice noodle shop and had a bowl of noodles. While eating, he examined his new beginner equipment. This set of legendary grade equipment primarily increased his base attributes, rather than adding many skills or boosting his attack and defense significantly. Base attributes were crucial. In this world, combat attributes such as attack, defense, and resistance were directly related to attribute points. Only with high attribute points do attack and defense become significant. As a level 2 beginner, his base attributes were very low. Each of the 5 basic attributes increased by only 1 point per level, with 5 additional free attribute points. However, these free attribute points were often left unassigned. Most people did not dare to assign points without confirming their career path, fearing mistakes and the high cost of resetting points. Only those who were certain of their development path from the start or who were very wealthy and didn't mind the cost of resetting would assign points without hesitation. Wei Kai had not assigned any points, so his base attributes were very low. The 3 most important attributes for a warrior, strength, agility, and constitution, were all below 10 points. But the new set of equipment provided a full 20 points to all attributes, equivalent to leveling up 20 times. The additional benefits were even more impressive. All in all, it was truly legendary equipment.